Hey everyone, Alan here from the Bear Bull Traders community. I just wanted to do a recap on a couple of the trades I took on CGC and ATVI, and also a couple of mistakes that I've made as well. So I noticed that the open. So these are two different windows here, or two different stocks that I'm looking at here on this row and this row. Over at CGC, I noticed that it looked really weak. It looked like it was gonna drop. It came up and lost VWAP, and as soon as it sort of made a 1 minute low on this candlestick, I actually went short here. So unfortunately, I didn't go very big size on this. I actually didn't have enough time. I got kind of lucky in that as soon as I shorted, it just dropped like a rock, and I started covering down here. Eventually, it showed some strength and it came back up, and I got all out. And what I noticed was on the 5-minute charts, it created this hammer candlestick, and whenever I see this, that's a very bullish sign. So I went long since it held above VWAP, and I added some more to the position, and then it came up, and I was able to exit around here. I started to show some weakness around here, so I actually got all out of this trade, and then I noticed that it formed a classic ABCD pattern here. So, right, and then it found some support at the previous day close, and it came back up. So as soon as it made a new 1 minute high, I got back in, sort of sold it as it was coming up. You'll notice that one of the things that I tend to do is I tend to take profits a little bit too early. I get a little bit antsy when I'm in the trade, and I'm like, okay, well, is it going to pop back down on me? And this was a resistance level, so you can see that I have some sells already in place there. So just let me clear this. So it has some sells here, right at this resistance level, and then as it came up, I'd sold more. So I actually do 25% sells, the same as Andrew. I found that because I tend to take profits early, it's better that I don't take a ton of profits early. I just feel a lot more comfortable in the trade if I've already taken some profits. So yeah, that's my CGC trade. I actually tried to do a couple of more trades. I think one more trade on CGC here. So I tried to go long here. I didn't get the greatest entry position. Because I was watching something else. I knew that if it started to show some strength here, I would buy, especially if it managed to break through this 50 moving average, this line here. And it did, and I chickened out a bit, and then I sold it up top here, and I thought it was going to make another move, but it came down hard here, and it got out a little bit too early. So I exited as soon as I saw this. It looked like a sign of weakness, but it actually closed above the 50 moving average, right? So it didn't actually, close below here. So I could have actually taken it, or could have held onto it for longer. But eventually it came back down, and I would have been stopped out anyways. So those are my trades on CGC. I did pretty well on CGC. On ATVI, I also did really well for the most part. So I noticed that on the daily, it was basically coming down. And I have these two trend lines here, and there weren't any levels really after it lost this point. It was already below 73.28. I don't know if you can see that. So it's below 73.28, and then the 200 moving average is this line, this big thick. I kind of draw the line a little bit thicker, so you can see on here I have the 200 moving average here. So after the 200 moving average, there's really nothing to stop it from touching 71. So if you heard that, I have a gong that goes off every 5 minutes, and that gong basically tells me to relax and take deep breaths, so I I don't get overly emotional with my trading, and it actually kind of helps. But anyways, like this thick line actually represents 200 moving average, and I knew if it lost that, it would just continue to drop. So I shorted it at the open. So as you can see here, I shorted it at the open, and I took some profits as it was dropping. You know, it lost this 200 moving average line, right, on the daily, and it just continued to drop. So I knew that this was going to trickle down, possibly even touching 71. So I held my final amount actually all the way down to here, and then I sort of got out. I thought it might touch 71, but it just bounced off 71.20, so it came close, but no cigar. Oh, actually, the last of it I got out here as it showed strength, and I could see that it was kind of breaking its trend. It made a new 5-minute high, and I went long here, right? So I went long with the new 1-minute high, and I was like, okay, well, I'll just go long, and then I'll stop myself out, you know, at 71.60 if it. So this line here, if it drops below 71.60, then I'll get out, right? So what it did, it just kind of like did nothing. It just came up and down, and you know, one of my other problems is once I'm in the green, once I'm actually positive for the day. So I had a couple of really good trades, you know, on CGC as you saw, as well as just, you know, one pretty awesome trade on ATVI. As soon as that happens, I start trading my P&L. So I start, you know, this is why they say when you hit a certain profit target, you should stop. And you know, it's to me, it's all basically psychology, right? Like all of this, all the reasons why, you know, you need to stop because you hit a target goal are because of psychology. And if you can get over those psychological elements, then you can continue to trade. But that's a very big but. It's a very big if, how that is. Like if you can get over those psychological elements. So the big one for me is I start trading my P&L. I don't want to lose money. I do not want to lose money, and that causes me to get stopped out way too early. So here's an example. In this particular example, I decided to get out right here as it showed a small amount of weakness. Right, it didn't even touch my my stop loss line, which is down here. Right, so as soon as you get out, what happens? I was right. It just boom popped up, boom, and you can see that it's gone, you know, all the way up, blew through VWAP. You know, a lot of people. There were actually a lot of entry positions I could have taken here, but you know, I didn't get into them. You know, there were a couple of times I actually was thinking of going long here, as well as going long on the retest of the VWAP here, but I unfortunately didn't get it in. So yeah, there's my trades for the day and my my mistakes, and that's the end of my recap. Thanks for listening. Cheers.